like just
this is actually
the raw shit? I'm not watching 2.5 hours of that.
About government efficiency, then the problem you would be solving, which is a real problem, is that in the federal government, it is too hard to reward your top performers. So you could be somebody who could be commanding a multi-million-dollar salary in the private sector, working on something wildly important, but there's just no way that you're getting, you're in your particular pay grade, same as everybody else. And to remove your bottom performance. Like a lot of people who've been in and out of business and government will tell me, like when I was in the private sector and the public sector, actually, like the top 10% were pretty much the same, these amazing driven people. The government ones weren't compensated as well, but they were purpose driven. But the bottom 10% was completely different because I couldn't do anything about the bottom 10%. Right? So imagine if Doge had come in and they had gone through every department and said, okay, we're going to create a way to reward the top performers. And we're also going to analyze whose job description is no longer needed, or their job performance is not there. And even though it's painful, even though maybe it's politically tough, like we're going to show them the door. That would be one thing. But they just sent an email to everybody.
Dude, him trying to reach across the aisle to right-wing podcast viewers is good, in my opinion. These people are stupid and impressionable and just listen to whoever sounds best. So let's have Pete Buttigieg sound the best. I don't care. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Get these people to realize that the way that the people are going about shit is stupid. I don't care. Let Pete cook.
Many of whom were in fact top performers. Like some of the people they fired who got caught up in this thing, the people got fired just based on whether you were in a category. And then next thing you know, like you wake up one day and this office, department, whatever Doge is, clearly hasn't like gone through and checked like who's doing a good job or there's no way because there wasn't even time to do that. And they're just like, guess what, you're fired. There has to be some like logic to it or order to it if you want to shape the behavior of other countries, right? And what we're seeing instead is this like really like chaotic, like grab ass policy where like he changes his mind every couple of days on things, right?
Grab ass policy.
That makes it that much harder, especially if you're a small business or if you're a giant corporation. You have all kinds of hedges and like ways you can maneuver through this.
Or they'll just remove the tariffs. That was another thing that really frustrated me. If you're going to put the tariffs on, put them on everything.
Seems to me like hold it.
Now they're like picking and choosing what they're going to apply.
So now Apple doesn't have the tariffs, and it's just like. But to me, that frustrated because Apple is the one that should be paying more than anybody. They're the one that parks their money overseas. They're the
You stupid fuck. God, these people are so taken in by like just the dumbest fucking shit. We need more lefties going on these fucking podcasts and changing the minds of the fucking hosts. Listen to him. That is like literally like, hey, wait, it doesn't make sense that this corporation who makes way more profit than we need and doesn't pay their workers well isn't paying their fair share. That's crazy.
The one that's skirting the taxes, the mom and pop businesses that are fucked by the tariffs are still going to have to pay. So now you're disproportionately punishing the people that are actually doing the right thing for the country in the first place.
Yes! Corporatism does this! Pete's also guilty of corporatism, but not as bad! Not as bad. He worked in the public sector as he really wants high-speed rail. That's an excellent thing. Absolutely.
Right now, in Kokomo, Indiana, I just read a story today about 370 workers at Stellantis who just got laid off. Auto workers who got laid off because of the tariffs. So this is a tool that you can use for sure. But it's absolutely critically important that you know what you're doing when you do. And if you're just making shit up as you go along, or if you're doing it for a reason that's actually less about helping middle America and more about consolidating power, which is what I think is actually happening.
True.
That was Pete Buttigieg on the flagrant part.
That was a very... God, he was so good on that. Man, I don't want to watch 3 hours of that shit, but...
Podcast with Andrew Schultz, who is a well-known right-wing influencer. Now, so as not to bury the lead here, I have seen a bit of the pushback, people saying, no thanks, this guy helped Trump win, how can you platform somebody like this? I cannot be more unequivocal in saying that Pete going into these spaces is what we need to be doing.
I agree.
We lost the last election. We lost the Electoral College and the popular vote. Our only job right now is to expand the tent. We don't have the luxury of imposing purity tests and saying, don't platform this guy or that guy, they voted for Trump. Maybe during the Obama era when we had huge majorities, but we don't have huge majorities. We don't have any majorities. And so our job right now is to bring people back into our tent.
Brian Taylor Cohen talks from a Democrat perspective. Sure. You don't have the left. You don't have the left. It is what it is. Overwhelmingly, people who vote, who identify as independent, they're more left-leaning than they aren't. It's like 40% or something. And some of them are like, I'm libertarian, some of them are right-wing, some of them are Democrats. You're leaving... I'm telling you, I feel like AOC or someone similar would get like 100 million votes. Like, all you need is someone that's like, you're going to get health care, we're going to tax the rich, you're going to get education, you're going to have housing, your rent's going to be cheaper.
We do that solely by making the case where people are. And by the way, Pete talking to Andrew Schultz is not an endorsement of Andrew Schultz. Pete talking to him means that he is talking to his audience of millions of people. There is no world in which that is a bad thing. Even Pete going on and appealing to a handful of people means that we've got a handful of people who wouldn't have otherwise heard our message. And that's worst case scenario. Best case, Pete wins thousands or tens of thousands of people. Or Andrew Schultz himself, who speaks to millions of people, gets bought in on what Pete is saying. The work of persuasion is hard, but Pete is the best of the best, and so this is the work that needs to be done. The reality is that if Democrats cede these spaces to the right, we allow them carte blanche to define us. It's no wonder that some of these right-wing audiences think that Democrats are communist, Marxist, radicals. Oftentimes, there aren't any Democrats there to push back. I would rather be in a hostile environment to define myself than cede that hostile environment and allow my opponents to define me instead. But again, and I really want to stress this, that requires an understanding from Democrats, from all of us, that we will have to sit down with people
From Democrats.
who we might view as problematic, and that's okay.
Who we might view as problematic. The way that they talk is fake woke. If we view them as problematic. It's okay. It's okay, liberals. It's all right. They don't get it. They don't fully get it. It doesn't matter. We need to work in coalition with the liberals as much as we can, because they're going to have groups that obviously collaborate through either stupidity or their own self-betterment. Liberals collaborate with fascists all the time. So we need to work with the ones we have. Brian Taylor Cohen does not like the fascists, so that's good. That's a good position. And I don't even not like the guy. Like, I think he's fine. But Brian Taylor, this guy, Brian Taylor Cohen. I follow him on Twitter. He follows a lot of the news. It's it's one of those things.
We need to be in these spaces. Do not punish people like Pete for doing the hard work of persuasion just because you don't like the person he's talking to. This isn't about you or me or us. This isn't about satisfying our qualifications or conditions. This is about reaching other people where they are. It's about bringing other people into the tent. Our job is to applaud this when it happens, because this is the only way we get these people back. Consider, too, the Andrew Schultzes of the world are not Republican operatives nor hardened conservatives. These are likely people who might have supported Obama in 2008 and 2012. We can get these people back, but not if we're not willing to talk to them. Not if we're not willing to go into these spaces. Not if we opt to impose purity test and cast aside anyone who doesn't agree with us on every single point. And to that point, look, I think it's important to differentiate the bad actors who spread disinformation on purpose from the victims of that disinformation. Do the Alex Joneses and Ben Shapiros and Tucker Carlsons and Charlie Kirks know better? Absolutely. But there's a new generation of podcast hosts, the podcast bros, of which I would probably include Andrew Schultz, who have a lot more exposure to the right wing than the left, which means their opinions are colored a lot more by Republicans than Democrats, which is why it is so important to have someone like Pete go in there.
I agree. This is what I want as well. These kids that watch these shows are not like the brightest. You know what I mean? It's It's nice to have someone that's good at communicating, telling someone stupid, Andrew Schultz in this case, how things actually work. Even though Pete doesn't want drastic change, he just wants to run the country. I mean, that's enough for me, I guess, at this point, to get back into order. We need to run the country efficiently with a science for. I'm fine with that. Labor is not something in the American government that we have to deal with. Too much inefficiency. What we have to, I mean, it could be the people laboring could be inefficient, but labor itself is like cutting labor itself is not going to lead to better. You could have people in the government that are trash. Totally fine to if you want to. And every administration comes in and audits all of these places, and they have like committees and stuff, and then they go through and they look at different aspects of this. But this is obviously like they're just firing people fucking carte blanche. They don't even give a fuck. They're not even like thinking about why. But what you need is like the spending of things to be reasonable, and you need the way that we tax to be fair, and it's just none of that's true. It's all skewed towards the top because, of course, they lobbied for power, and then our system is corrupt. So we have to get money out of politics. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of fucking things. We'll see if we can get it done.
And dispel the right-wing branding that's taken hold, like this, for example.
If you look at the actual conservative governing plan, though, not the talk, not the campaigning, not the posturing, what they actually do.
Okay.
I would say the biggest social policy commitment that they've made that they actually care about to the point that they actually went through and kept it was to get rid of the right to choose. It's number one project of the Republican Party on the social side.
Yeah.
It's one of the few promises they actually kept.
Yeah, that's valid, yeah.
And then economically, the biggest promise they've actually kept is tax cuts for the rich. Yeah. Biggest thing that he did in his first term. And right now, it's up for debate right now. Literally, Congress it's not getting as much attention because all the other crazy things going on. Yeah. But it's more tax cuts for the rich and for corporations, right? So to me, like, most of the stuff he said he was going to do, he didn't actually do. He didn't do the big infrastructure bill he talked about. We actually did it. He didn't even build the wall. That's the thing. Build the wall was like a galvanizing statement. It's not like he actually did it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you.
2% of it. But I want to do something you actually follow through on.
You guys need a build the wall? No, you need let's fucking get healthcare. Free healthcare. Socialized fucking healthcare. And who's going to pay for it? The fucking corporations. The fucking corporations. You know the healthcare system that has destroyed your family forever? That whole apparatus, we're taxing them, gonna funnel that in, and we're just going to treat healthcare as an investment in the American worker, the American family. People will have more families if they have healthcare. People will have better lives. They will be more productive. Like, if you just care about the bottom line, giving them healthcare is going to help.
A galvanizing statement that's all bullshit is not good enough.
So my message to any Democratic elected officials, candidates, operatives, influencers, get into these spaces. Make the case. We're right on the merits, on the issues. We're right on climate change and healthcare and abortion and unions and income inequality and housing. We just have to make sure that people know it. And my message for the broader electorate, give those folks space and grace to go into those uncomfortable spaces and do the hard work of persuasion. The last thing we need is to disincentivize or attack when Pete goes onto a right-wing podcast or when I go onto Piers Morgan or when anyone goes into these spaces. Our job, once again, is not to abide by or impose purity tests. It is to expand the tent. It's difficult, it's uncomfortable, but most of all, it is necessary if we want to win moving forward.
I agree the message in general on that. Ooh.